Welcome, guys, to 2X Trading Sunday Stock Talk. It is November 13th, where we are going to be going over not just what worked last week, but what can we expect this week? Economic data, earnings, news that's coming out, and then how we can expect to trade the overall markets with exact plan of attacks and level on the SPY, as well as some small caps we're going to be looking for some swing trades going forward here. So I'm going to jump in, guys. I'm going to start with the SPY, okay? Get my face out of here. Starting on a weekly chart, you guys can see the SPY here. We bounced strong off the 200 SMA on a weekly chart. We're still in this downtrend, okay? And until we get out of this downtrend, we're not necessarily out of the woods yet, okay? So you can see big bounce here last week coming off of not necessarily deflation, but just reduced inflation. It was still 7% or 6.5%, whatever it was. So that's not good news. It's just positive news that it's been slowing instead of, increasing. Going to zoom in here to the daily chart. Again, guys, whenever you're looking at charts for bigger picture, we always want to talk big picture and then shrink it in to keep going forward. Okay, so you can see here, we're still in this downtrend. Here's really the key. There's not a ton of key levels here where we're at. So we could see if we continue to break out, you can see here 400 really is kind of this key. That's where we ended up, stalling out last week. If we can get buying over 400, I think we have easy room back to the 200 SMA, which is right at $407. You can see we have a couple pivots here. This one's at 407, 407. The high of this is right in that area. And then there's this gap fill here to, 408.50. Okay. If we get over that, again, we have fairly clean room back up to 411-ish, 410 to 411-ish. Okay. And then obviously here we're bumping into this trend line. So if we do get buying and we're over 400, I think we could see continuation up into the 200 SMA, 410, 411. At that point, we're bumping into this trend line. I don't know how much we're going to have left without having a full pullback to break out. Okay. So if we go bullish, I'm really intrigued to, really be looking to play calls on any sort of pullbacks, okay? And I'll give it in a second here. I'll dive into what that looks like. If we see selling and we can't quite get through 400, what we can look for here is obviously room back down to 390, 391-ish would be target one. We have really clean level here at 385 with this pivot and this pivot. And then obviously here, this gap fill, which eventually I think we need to fill the gap. And then we have this support trend line. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in again. Again, this is the same concept, guys. Just keep zooming in further and further. Right, so we have this right here. If we're over 400, again, I think we have fairly clean room back up to 407. I'll look to play calls on dips and breakouts. If we break this down here and we start to see selling, I'll look to play puts for a move back into 390, 385. And then if we get, enough selling back into 381 for the gap fill. Okay. What I'm really more so, watching for here is going to be, do we actually reverse this trend at some point? If we do reverse this trend, again, I think that's when we'll get this move back down to possibly play some puts. As far as economic data and earnings go this week, okay, so what can we really look out for? Economic data-wise, guys, there's really nothing, okay? Inflation expectations on Monday, that's it. That's not going to move much. Manufacturing data comes out Tuesday. Pre-market, that shouldn't move much. Retail sales do come out Wednesday, and this is a big week for retail earnings. Okay, so we have Walmart, Target, Kohl's, all of your big retail chains, guys, all have earnings this week. So that could play a key factor midweek that we definitely need to keep an eye on. None of those plays I'm really all that intrigued to trade. they don't, to me, seem necessarily as big earnings movers. So I'm just going to kind of sit on the sidelines there, but that's definitely something worth watching. And then Thursday, we have pre-market jobless. Okay. We have initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, and so forth. So no really big news this week as far as FOMC or CPI goes. But what we do have is some pretty good earnings coming out, or bigger earnings coming out, that we definitely want to watch for. Okay. So outside of the SPY, guys, what I'm going to be looking at, again, you guys know SPY for me, this is kind of my baby. This is what I like to trade. This is where most of my option trades are going to come from. But I am willing to look elsewhere, if we see setups. Okay. So a few things I'd be watching. I'm going to look actually the opposite direction here would be Tesla. If we get back up and we create some sort of bear flag into this 200, could look for short continuation back down. Okay. So that being one name. Anything to the bullish side, I'm mainly just going to stick with. I'll just stick with SPY and so forth. So Amazon here, you can see as well, possibly creating a bull flag. Big thing with Amazon here is we do have decent volume in the buy up. Okay. So I would be careful there. But if we do see weakness, I'm going to look to trade relative weakness. Okay. If we see strength, I'll trade relative strength, which is I'll just keep trading the SPY. But if we see weakness, I won't be afraid to jump to Amazon or Tesla. Okay. Other names that could be, we're seeing kind of some relative weakness here on that I'll definitely be watching for would be Coin, okay? With all the BS going on in crypto, SBF, CZ, we're starting to see some bankruptcies. Coinbase is, if you want to believe they're a solid company, great. But if not, there's still a lot of rumors going around that can affect this. So we broke down here on really big volume, and then we pop back up on light volume. So I'd be looking for a bear flag here to possibly swing this short back down for continuation. And I'm going to show you a few other names with similar setups. Okay. Disney, bad earnings, big drop. Again, light volume on the way back up, trying to fill the gap. If we fill this gap, could look for a swing short. Obviously, energy names are really strong. Oxy, if we can get over 77, this thing here really could start going again. RBLX is another name. Okay. Broke down on poor earnings. Now we're back testing this trend line breakdown. Same concept as Coin. Be looking for a possible short there. And then small cap, guys, I'm just going to kind of go over what we were doing last week that was really working. We were really focused on earnings plays. Okay. And what we wanted to see was earnings plays. And then basically in pre-market, two things. Okay. We either were trading them pre-market or waiting for this bull flag, just bull flag setups into the open. So PSNY here, we traded this right here and right here. Okay. So right there and right here. Just good news, solid earnings, solid chart, pullbacks, inside 5-minute candles, reversals. Okay. APPS here again. You can see these looks, guys. Earnings, bullish into the open with a small pullback, breakout, opening drive, pullback, confirm this. Okay. These have been really good trades all week. Okay. Redfin, you can see here, day 2, good continuation. So that's what we're going to continue to look for, guys, as long as it's earnings season. Again, just to recap this all, not a ton of big news coming out, but we do have retail earnings. The SPY, biggest thing with the SPY, guys, is just, do we get over 400 or does 400 act as resistance? We have clean room to move either way. 400 is the key. So again, guys, anything at all, follow along, subscribe to our channel. We're going to continue to deliver this over and over again. If you really want help, come join the team. We'd love to help you out.